Hey, stop making my life miserable. Wasn't my fault, Emmanuel. When a small envelope creased at the edges arrived at Isaac's door, Emmanuel watched from the dusty road, arms crossed, heat rising behind his ribs. Isaac, younger by 6 years but calmer, brought the letter inside like it contained a bird. "What is it?" Emmanuel asked, voice casual but salted. Isaac hesitated. "From Aunt Catherina. She wrote to me." They opened it together. The paper spoke of an inheritance, a little farm and some savings saved for a nephew. The words were formal, but Emmanuel felt something else, the first stubborn stirrings of envy. Isaac used the small inheritance to buy a motorbike and a few new seeds for the farm. The village clapped at his return, a young man who had risen a notch. Emmanuel forced congratulations that tasted like iron. "You did well, brother," he said as he patted Isaac's shoulder too hard. At night Emmanuel paced the compound, remembering his own missed chances, school fees unpaid, a stubborn cough that had robbed him of ambition. Seeing Isaac step up felt like salt on an old wound. Rumors travel faster than honesty. Someone whispered that Aunt Catherina had always meant the farm for Emmanuel, the one she called her favorite once when she visited long ago. The rumor landed in Emmanuel like a hand on a sore place. Maybe it's a mistake, he told himself. Maybe they'll fix it. But humans rarely wait politely for fixes. He began watching Isaac even more closely, measuring the space between the two brothers with a ruler made of resentment. Emmanuel approached Isaac with an easy smile and an offer, help him manage the farm. "We'll do it together," he said, meaning something else, watch and take. Isaac's eyes softened. "I want us to share everything, Em. You taught me how to mend a net when we were kids." Emmanuel swallowed. The soft answer only seemed to cut deeper. He accepted and moved in, close enough to steer, close enough to stab. It started small. Emmanuel watered a section of the seed bed less than the others. He spread old seed among fresh, thinking the difference would be invisible. When crops failed in a patch, Isaac blamed bad luck. Emmanuel fixed the holes with hands that trembled with a private pleasure. The first lie to himself, "It's for our future." Word of Isaac's apparent success reached the city and Aunt Catherina's lawyer called. A trust had been set up, they said, she'd left instructions. Money would flow in a few months. Emmanuel felt the world shift. He smiled when he shook Isaac's hand, but inside he measured the months like knife marks. "We'll do better now," Isaac said, hoping to ring his voice. Emmanuel's reply was hollow cheer. Living together magnified annoyances. Emmanuel grew sharp about small things, the way Isaac laughed, the late nights with Amma, the time Isaac gave a neighbor a bag of rice. "Why are you so soft?" Emmanuel snapped one night over a burnt pot of stew. Isaac's face fell. "Because people need help, Em." The sharpness didn't come from hunger for food, it came from hunger for the claim he thought should be his. Emmanuel found an ally, Kwaku, an old friend who nursed his own quiet grievances. Together they spoke of ambition as if it were a right rather than a desire. "You should press the lawyer," Kwaku said. "Make sure the trust is what it says." Emmanuel hesitated. He did not yet suspect the truth that would unravel him, that some kindnesses arrive late because they were intended for another reason entirely. When Lawyer Mensah came to town, Emmanuel demanded answers. He asked questions about distribution, insistently, until Isaac's cheeks reddened. "You're making this a circus," Isaac said. This was Aunt Catherina's wish. "And what if wishes change?" Emmanuel shot back. His voice betrayed him, too loud, too hungry. Amma, gentle and patient, pulled Emmanuel aside. "Stop before you lose what you already have," she said, fingers curled like a prayer. Emmanuel, half fragmented by envy, answered sharply. "You don't understand." She did, but she also understood the soft pull of money on a man's heart. Her warning slid off him like rain off a leaf. Emmanuel's tactics grew bolder. He bribed a storekeeper to short Isaac on fertilizer and doctored accounts. Each lie convinced him he was fixing a cosmic error. Isaac found the shortfall and felt betrayed but couldn't imagine who, till the pattern led him back to Emmanuel. "Why would you do this?" Isaac asked, voice small. Emmanuel's answer was practiced. "To protect you. From mistakes. From fraud." Village ears sharpened. Rumor swirled not just that Isaac had money but that he was careless. Emmanuel fed stories, late nights, poor decisions, people who wanted to take advantage. Isaac's customer contracts faltered. The trust's first disbursement was delayed while inquiries probed perceptions Emmanuel had sharpened. "You're losing them," Emmanuel told him with false sympathy. Emmanuel's anger was not born of void, it had roots in a grief-tangled past. Their father had favored school over farm, had taken money and left debts. Emmanuel had promised, once, to make sure poverty never crowned him again. Isaac had never made those promises. His easy laughter felt like a betrayal of a lifetime of vows. That memory, like old coal, kept Emmanuel burning. Emmanuel struck a bargain with a middleman to buy out one of Isaac's small contracts. He paid in installments and whispered to the buyer about Isaac's unreliability. When the buyer backed out, Isaac's reputation bled. "Why do you always do this to me?" Isaac asked after the man left, hurt raw. Emmanuel could only say, "I'm trying to save us both." It sounded smaller even to his own ears. A series of bad deals, rumors, and withheld payments culminated in the loss of Isaac's biggest contract. The trust's trustees saw instability and froze the next release of funds. Isaac came home with his head low. "I'm sorry," he whispered, not fully understanding the breadth of what had been taken from him. Emmanuel felt victorious and hollow, victory tasted of ash. When the trustees visited, questions surfaced about management. Emmanuel's maneuvers had left a trail of irregularities that the outside world found suspicious. The trustees, cautious and bureaucratic, delayed further support. Isaac's shoulders sagged. Amma cried into a pillow. Emmanuel watched, thinking the end justified the means. Late at night, Emmanuel woke to the echo of a child's laugh, the laughter of a memory when he and Isaac chased one another barefoot. Guilt knocked softly. He pushed it away. He found himself watching Isaac read to a neighbor's little boy and felt a sharp, irrational jealousy flare. "It's only money," he told himself. But even that statement felt like sand slipping through fingers. Mama Abina, who had raised them with hands that knew both hard work and forgiveness, asked Emmanuel plainly, "Why are you fighting your own blood?" He answered with another lie, "He has what should be mine." She looked at him not with anger but with tender disappointment. "Then you will lose more than you know." Emmanuel's actions finally cost Isaac a relationship of trust with the community. Contracts evaporated, and the trustees, spooked by instability, revoked support. Isaac's last hope was a meeting with the lawyer who had handled Aunt Catherina's will. Emmanuel intended to attend, to ensure the decision stayed unfavorable. But what he heard at that meeting would change everything. Lawyer Mensah read aloud a letter from Aunt Catherina. The farm and funds had been put in Isaac's name temporarily while the aunt arranged legal matters, because the aunt believed Emmanuel had been too proud to accept charity. The note said, "Hold it until he is ready. Give it to Emmanuel when he returns with humility." Emmanuel's throat closed. The world spun. He had not known. The fortune, meant for him, had been given to Isaac for safekeeping. "It was for me," he whispered. Knowledge did not stitch the torn fabric of trust. Emmanuel's chest ached with a new pain, remorse. He saw Isaac's empty gaze and felt each cut he'd given. "I thought," he started. Isaac interrupted, voice hollow. "You thought I could be used as a stepping stone." There was sorrow instead of anger. Emmanuel wanted to apologize properly but found his words clumsy and unworthy. Emmanuel tried to make amends. He repaid the withheld funds, publicly apologized, and worked on the farm with bruised humility. "I was wrong," he told the village at a small gathering. "I let greed run my heart." Some faces softened, others remained guarded. Trust, like clay, needed careful molding. A series of bad deals, rumors, and withheld payments culminated in the loss of Isaac's biggest contract. The trust's trustees saw instability and froze the next release of funds. Isaac came home with his head low. "I'm sorry," he whispered, not fully understanding the breadth of what had been taken from him. Emmanuel felt victorious and hollow, victory tasted of ash. Despite Emmanuel's repair, some damage was irreversible. A key investor had moved on, the village remained wary. Their farm limped rather than leapt back. Emmanuel found himself stripped of illusions. The victory he had wanted had become punishment, a long, stubborn schooling in humility. A city company offered Emmanuel a managerial job far away. It would mean distance and a chance to start fresh. He turned it down at first, rooted by guilt and the need to stay. Isaac surprised him. "Go. Learn. Bring back what you can." The permission felt like grace. On a rainy afternoon, Mama Rabina said, "We have enough if we keep each other." Emmanuel nodded, the sentence landed like a seed. He had chased a hollow victory and nearly destroyed the very thing ailed him, family. The lesson was bitter but deep. "I'll spend the rest of my days making sure we don't lose each other again," he promised.